Due to suggestive adult themes and dialogue, this podcast is intended for adults. In other words, the truth is ugly, so we get ugly right along with it. Everything we say is out of love for ourselves, our people, and our community. Sincerely, the Green Route Podcast.
And stop the damn dancing! Act like you got some goddamn sense, people!
Black people don't hope, we wish. We wish a motherfucker would be in our shit.
As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
Want to welcome y'all to the Green Route Podcast, episode number 24. I am GS.
And I'm Marlissa. What's up, y'all? Welcome back.
So, there have been some tragic news. There has been some disappointing news this past week. So, a lot to say. We're going to get right to it.
Okay. All right. So, I guess this is the one that probably hit me hardest. Takeoff.
Yeah.
So, is that Monday?
Was it Monday? It might have been, Monday or Tuesday.
Monday. Okay. So, woke up Monday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Regular cadence, regular schedule, and saw that news. And honestly, it gave me pause because I'm a fan of the Migos, don't get me wrong, but I don't get invested in like the three different personalities of these folks. But one thing that I knew about Takeoff in particular was that he was just always kind of in the cut to himself, the quiet one. And so I'm like, damn, like what was he doing to, be in this predicament? This be happening,
yeah.
And so when the news came out, it didn't take long because the hood talks. We probably knew more before the police knew anything, to be honest. And so, you start seeing videos and text messages and screenshots and all of that. And so one of the big things that I focused on that morning was the why this even happened and why this continues to happen. And the one thing that I came back with was, there's just this thing that happens, I think, when black men in particular get together, specifically younger black men. And I truly believe that, we can blame culture, but I don't think we can tell that story without talking about the history of our people in this country.
Right.
And how all of the atrocities, how all of the abuses have led to this generation, several generations of young black men who don't really know where they belong, are sometimes insecure or unsure about who they are. They don't really know how to deal with complex emotions like embarrassment or jealousy or whatever else is going on. And then you have what the Boondocks would call nigga moments. And so you get into these spats that a lot of times, I think in our parents' generations, it would end in a fist fight. But now it ends in gun violence. And we see another young man cut down. And so while I didn't know him, what I did know was that he was one of us. And because I love us so much, it really just broke my heart to see that. And to see another young man be cut down simply because someone was probably embarrassed in front of a group of their peers and couldn't have that, couldn't be disrespected, couldn't be, seen as less than a man. And then it turns into this over and over again. And I'm honestly tired of seeing it. And so I wrote a piece about going to therapy and taking care of some of these harder emotions that a lot of times our young boys don't know how to deal with. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it.
I saw you going back and forth in your comments with people on that one.
One was a black man, one was a black woman. Yeah.
What were the? I didn't get fully into what their issues were. What were their issues with what you were saying?
Yeah, so the man was saying that therapy doesn't work and it's all about the lack of resources and this and this and that. But I'm like, my response to him was, well, if you read the piece, you would know that I addressed all of that.
Yes,
I'm not.
I did see your response.
I didn't even really talk to him too much because if you go, and then I put free resource because he was like, therapy costs money. I listed several free resources specific to black men. These are people who have started organizations to get black men therapy. So I was like, go read the piece and then come back and talk to me. But the other person that I was going back and forth with was actually a black woman. And her response to the post was, well, he don't need therapy. Therapy has never worked for anyone. He needs Jesus. And my comment to her was, well, what about Kanye? But I said, but Kanye.
Well.
And I think she responded and was just like, yeah, he's waking up those of us who are lost. And then I just liked her comment and moved
just
on
kept
with
it
my
moving.
life. Because, we don't have the time.
So a lot of my perspective, I was having a conversation with someone, and she basically summed it up by saying this. She was like, the issue is black hetero men. And I just was like, I didn't like that.
Okay.
I feel like that was a little too grand.
What did she say about black hetero men?
But she was just like, that was the
issue.
That was the common thing. And so my perspective was, one, do we attribute black hetero men who do good things? The ones who are taking care of their families, ones who are supporting their communities, do we contribute that to them being black hetero men? I'm like,
absolutely not.
No, we don't.
Because that would be too much like right.
And it's one of those things where it's just like, we're not giving them their credits because we're not saying, oh, they're doing this good because they're black hetero men. So therefore, on the other end of it, when bad shit happens, we can't automatically be like, oh, because they're black hetero men, that's why this bad shit happens.
Right.
My other part to it, I had two parts. Two more parts. The other part has to do with what I think the issue really is, and it has to do with internalized white male patriarchy. That is the real issue. The reason why some black men feel the need to be hyper masculine is because, again, the idea of masculinity in itself, in terms of even where it started, how it's been passed down, has been the one that's been created with the white male ideology.
This is why they want their women submissive, because they are watching across the aisle thinking like, that's how, I'm supposed to behave.
So when I'm thinking about why we respond the way we respond in terms of our manhood or our manhood feeling threatened, that has to do, again, it's patriarchy. It's how we've internalized their version of what manhood is. And we've internalized it to be, well, can't let no man disrespect me.
That's right.
Can't let nobody say nothing crazy to me, or I'm going to be a bitch, or this or that. And it's like, no. That is actually the right way to be. The right way to be is actually to realize that someone is not responding to you in a way that you'd like to be responded to.
That's right.
Therefore, you should just remove yourself from that situation if you can. It's just not, that's the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not talking about in jail or in a situation where you're in a closed environment and you can't go nowhere, and then you got to do what you got to do. There's that.
Yeah, that's defending yourself, though.
That's that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. The other part has to do with the fact that I wouldn't say I'm a fan of Takeoff. I like one of his songs from his album. I used to ask when I would DJ, I would play it, and it's like one of those songs where, like, or I guess as a DJ, like, you might play a song that you really fuck with, but people might not know it. He had a song like that, so that song always ran in my mind.
What song was it?
It was off the album. I forgot the exact name. I think the name of it was called Takeoff.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I gotta look at it.
Okay, yeah.
But it's hard. But the last point, which is crazy, is the fact that my brother talked about how the Migos came to Jarvis Christian. Like, this is years ago when they were first starting. So when they were traveling, moving around, in those situations, they would have violent encounters, fights. Most of the time it goes smooth. They perform for these smaller, situations. It's just interesting that they kind of survived where it was the most dangerous to be an artist with jewelry. They survived that that infant stage of their career, only to end up rich as fuck.
Yeah.
And ended up dying by gunfire. And it's like, or him ended up dying by gunfire. It's just like, that's the sad part. That's the part that don't make no sense. So
I mean, Nip said it, right? Like, how you die at 33 after banging all them, like that. Like, he literally said, like, that sometimes people escape death, literally, only to be caught in some situation that you would never expect death to be at.
That's some Final Destination shit.
And so and I mean, there's a lot of talk around like Jay Prince and the protection that they were supposed to offer. And all of that, but regardless, like, all of that is surface level. When you get to the root of like what happened here, I think GS said it, like, there is this toxic masculinity that is all built off of white supremacy, and that's what my piece was about. Was, hey, like, we have to start breaking down some of those like things that are ingrained in us because of our history in this country, and like, if you're not willing to be honest about, I'm actually not really sure where I fit into my community right now. I'm not really sure like where I fit into my, like, but you have to see yourself. That's it. Somebody said to me, they were like, therapy don't work if you in there lying to them people. and I agree. Like, you have to like sit with yourself and say like, yeah, there's some shit that's going on inside of me that I need to go work out and figure out. And learning, y'all, that was one of the things, like, I used to be like jealous of some of my friends who I felt like were doing better than me, but I knew that was a me problem. Right. They didn't have anything to do with them. And once I started like learning like what was going on, but also getting on my own shit and doing my own work, it changed everything. And so, yeah, like, that was my only thing. Like, hey, I want our men to get into counseling because I know that you haven't always been able to express yourself in the way you should, in the way you want to, because of that toxic masculinity. And, yeah, I got pushback from people, but I said what I said. So,
that's real.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make this one, like, because you mentioned Jay Prince and them. And this is all my opinion. This is what I believe. Jay Prince Jr., in my opinion, I think it's their fault. Because if you think about somebody who's coming from out of town, they don't know where to go. But it's up to you as the Houston hosting group to say, this is where hey, y'all come to this spot, come to this spot. And if you're not, I'm not sure if it's respected. I'm not sure if highly regarded. If you're not highly regarded or respected enough to make sure people around you that won't do no stupid ass shit. Because a lot of times you have let me say, folks who gonna go there.
Yeah.
You have folks around you who gonna go there.
Yeah.
But if they respect you, they know like, oh, I'm not gonna take it there. This is my dude. This is people. So in my opinion, I'd put that on him and his camp.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on that. So.
All right, well, we definitely went over time, but okay, let's go on to the next topic, which is a little more boring, but we got to talk.
About it.
So okay, so the Fed, we've been talking about the Fed since this show started, like crazy. So they just did another rate hike. This is the fourth time, not in a row, but it is the fourth consecutive rate hike. So this time it was 75 basis points, so 0.75 of a percent. And again, you know, we've been saying on this show that the Fed's policy on this is about, quote unquote, slowing down the economy. Okay, I got a couple notes, and then I'm
okay. Let me say my part first.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you get the meat of this.
All right.
So when I first looked at it and I read about it, honestly, the first thing I thought about was someone's getting paid. Like if you're looking around and seeing all these companies make this profit, it only makes sense for you as the Fed, if you're trying to recoup some of that back, to raise it in that way. Because when you raise it, everyone who's contributing into you as a borrower from you, they come up as well. So it just makes me feel like if the government was truly working for us, would it go up so many times? No. If the Fed was truly for us, that's what I'm saying. It just seems like the banks that the Fed is backing, and then I don't know if this is true, y'all. I could be 100% wrong. The banks that the Fed is backing, it only makes sense for them to push the Fed to bring that interest rate up, because that's the rising tide raises all boats situation.
Because when I go get a home loan,
right,
that financial services company, a Bank of America, whoever, is going to get paid even more off of my loan. So yeah, so two things that I believe should have happened if they truly wanted to look out for the American people. Now, during COVID, yes, they did slash interest rates. I took advantage and refinanced my house and got that good old 2 point something.
We're not mad at that.
Fantastic.
We're not mad at that.
But the whole goal of that, right, was to help like fight what was going on in the economy because of COVID. So in my opinion, the two things they should have done is just raise the interest rate back to where it was pre-COVID. But then when they saw these companies making record profits, after screaming about, our costs are more expensive, and like Congress should have immediately codified a bill that said, hey, we are going to tax all runaway profits. Like all windfall profits will be taxed at this point. And like Biden he's threatening it against the oil companies. But nobody else, and I'm gonna promise you this: there is more than just them oil companies. There's record profits up.
Well, there's a reason why he's for sure challenging the oil companies. And truth be told, what it looks like is get back. We have the midterms coming up. They are threatening to bring the price of the barrel up for their own profit, because they wouldn't be doing anything else than what the companies in America are being allowed to do, and they already know that America is their biggest market.
Yep.
So. He actually, I remember when he mentioned that, it's just like the reason why is because there was actually a meet. I forgot exactly where it happened, but allegedly he had a conversation with them and he wanted them to wait until after the midterms were over so that for them to adjust
to raise the price of the barrel.
Like,
okay,
he wanted them to wait, but they was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
We finna get this money. And so then that's when he came out and was like, all these companies, specifically oil companies, making this big profit. And it's like, Joe Biden, you kind of being full of shit on this one.
Well, because remember, he told us to strap in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he was like, we're going to be supporting Ukraine, so y'all got to strap in and just deal with these prices. And then all of a sudden, you flip it right before the midterms.
Yeah.
Because you know that that's a big concern. Like, inflation, the cost of living in this country is a big concern for
Yeah,
folks.
he's, in my opinion, on this specific, and this is, truth be told, not 100% mad at Joe. This is really some political shit.
It's politics.
Yeah. It's just politics. It's just him being like, y'all not helping me, so fuck y'all. I'm gonna help I'm gonna say some things that may potentially scare y'all.
Yeah.
And that's the windfall profit comment. So
Yeah, well, and remember they had the whole hearing way back when with the oil companies. Some of the motherfuckers didn't even show up. Like, remember that? Just disrespectful. Like, they didn't even.
They was like, we know y'all gonna come to us.
You get summoned by like a congressional committee, and the oil company executives are like, "No, I don't really feel like it." That tells you who runs Washington, if nothing else. Okay, so I got a couple things, y'all, because we do want to talk about like the impact to us as regular people. You're gonna see a bunch of articles about what you should do and what you should invest in. For regular ass people, here's what we're going to see. So the goal of this, mind you, is to make it more expensive to take out a loan. So they're thinking that companies in particular will kind of slow investment. They're hoping that those of us who were buying a bunch of houses and cars and stuff when the interest rates were low will kind of slow that down. So that's the goal. The problem with that, though, is that the majority of this inflation is coming from corporations, from them raising their prices. Hence why they have record level profits. Like that, the equation does not change, y'all.
It's as if they're looking at those companies make these huge profits and just automatically assume that everyone has it. And it's like, no, the companies are just doing some foul shit.
They're price gouging.
They're price gouging just to make it look like this money is being spent, but in actuality, we're just paying higher prices for it.
And sometimes for less. Like, they're downsizing on the size of things, like, and we're paying more. So here's kind of the impact. So for our day-to-day lives, again, because corporations are like setting the final price, I don't think we're going to see a change in the cost of living, me personally. This actually may impact employment, and here's why. Because if it becomes more expensive for companies to borrow, so say a high capital intensive company like an AT&T, someone who has to invest in a grid and a network, like there's a lot of money being put into the actual ground every year to keep their network running, they're going to have to decide, like, okay, do I invest in my network or do I keep 250,000 employees on? And the first thing that most companies look at, especially capital intensive companies, they look at is the head count, because that's their biggest expense. So it could mean lower employment for some people. We'll see. The other thing is we may even see prices go higher. So here's the rationale of companies. And trust me, y'all, I was in these rooms. I know where the bodies are hitting. So I'm giving you like real information. What'll happen is the conversation will go, well, shit, it's more expensive to take out that loan now because the interest rate is higher. So we should just pass that through to the consumer. And what'll happen
per usual.
Yeah, because why would I pay an additional percentage when I can put that on Gabe and Marlissa, because they're going to pay their phone bill. Like this, we know.
Extra 10 cents on your bill, y'all.
That's
bill
right.
Went up 15.
Yep. So big, huge loans, like if they become more expensive for big, large companies, they may pass that on to us. The good thing, though, is
Please
that...
tell us good.
Yeah. For like savings accounts, we may actually see some like higher yield savings. So I got to remember that, like, I am speaking from a place of privilege. Like, if you don't have a savings, you are not alone. There are a lot of people in this country who can't, I think, afford $1,000 emergency. So for the people who do put money away and you have like a nice little nest egg, like look around for a high yield savings account. Even if you just have $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in there,
Right.
like if you just let it sit, if you find a high yield savings account, which could get up to 3-4%, which is better than what we've seen for a very long time, you could make some extra money for free just by letting your money sit there. But of course, that's money that you don't necessarily need right then, which is rare for folks like us. The other thing I want to tell y'all, like, if you don't need a house or a car right now, don't buy it. Because unless you have cash on hand, don't buy it. Look at your credit card rates because some of them are going to change. So next month after that, like start paying attention to what that rate is on your credit card. If you can help it, do not fool with those monthly minimums. Pay it in full on time every month so you can avoid, I think one of my Amex is like 26%. So I pay that bitch on time.
Oh my.
Because that's crazy. Like, are you nuts? For every $100 I owe, I gotta pay $25.
$5.
That's crazy. So if you can help it, do that. The other thing is if you have new college students right now who are taking out loans, look at the federal interest rates. Like seriously.
Oh, you definitely getting hit. Oh, you definitely getting hit.
Yes. So federal interest rates just last year were 3.73%. This year with the increase, it's going to be at 4.99.
And those rates will stay the same. They're going to lock that in. They're going to lock in that contract. I'm saying if you're starting college this year, those rates are going to stay the same.
That's right.
No matter what happens. So you're going to get stuck in basically you're going to be on the roller coaster up here and you're going to get stuck there and you're just going to have to pay that out. That's fucking wild.
And GS makes a good point. They lock in those rates. So I went to school, 2010 and then like 2013, 2015. So yeah, my rate is locked. But if you have a new college student going in and you have to take out loans, it's going to be crazy. So
yeah, your bond yields currently 6.8%.
Yes. So y'all follow Cook the Geek. He is like an amazing day trader. He has taught me a bunch of stuff about just, how the market works, specifically on like the short term kind of yield. He's dope. I want him to start putting more content out so that those of us who don't really speak finance can get on his level. But make sure y'all follow him. So that's what I have on that. Anything else for the Fed?
That's it for that. So
he said 9%. You see his comment?
9%, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk.
So Kyrie Irving had actually tweeted a book. He tweeted a documentary that allegedly had some very anti-Semitic information in it. What I thought was interesting, of course, he got backlash for it. Of course, people, responded to it or whatever. Yeah. What I thought was interesting was when I was finding out about it, I was actually watching him play with the Nets at the time. I was watching as the game was happening, and I thought that was very interesting. I guess. Now I don't know the angle in terms of like how can you get someone put off of a team because I'm assuming that that's what they wanted to do. There were definitely threats to his job. It kind of showed me that who owns these NBA teams. Like in my mind, I was thinking about white NBA team owners, and I was just like, well, I guess this is a classic case of if it doesn't really have anything to do with them or doesn't affect their market, then I guess Kyrie can't be subject to be cut off because his owners are white, non-Jewish.
So they don't care. Yeah,
I'm assuming that.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me.
I'm assuming that, but I don't know the full part of that part. But I just thought that was interesting. Okay. That these $1 million, these large corporations and companies, of course, canceling their contracts and their connections with Kanye, Kyrie Irving. And I want to say he actually has tweeted about black people being connected to Judaism. Yes. Kendrick Lamar, I know he to a certain extent he's on that wave as well.
Don't call me black.
You know what I'm saying? Israelites. Shout out to my brothers who wear purple in the heat and be yelling at us.
They be downtown
at the state fair.
Dedication. Because it be hot, y'all.
But yeah, so that's I just thought that whole thing was interesting, and again, it was just Kyrie Irving, in my opinion, being Kyrie Irving, but the response to it has been interesting. Yeah,
so okay, so here are my thoughts. I don't really follow Kyrie Irving either, but when he's in the news, like, I kind of hear what he's about. I know he was kind of an anti-vaxxer. Now I'm finding out he's a black Israelite.
What is it? What is it with this? They make good not bean pies. That's shout out to my Muslim brothers and sisters.
Yeah, this is different.
What is? I guess I need to look more into what is the allure of black Israelite-ism outside of a really and a more. I don't like to use the word extreme because they be using the word extreme, but it's just a more a more orthodox version of black Christianity from my perspective.
Yeah. So okay. So
Somebody said hoteps. Jesus Christ. Religious hoteps?
I mean, Landon, I think he captured it in one word.
I don't think. Nah, I can't give him that label. I can't give him that label.
I have to, because
I can't
every
give him that
single
label.
one that I have met, and okay. So, but we want to give some facts, okay? Because these are my opinions. We want to give some actual facts. So, okay. So yeah. So Gia said it. He's under fire for a tweet. The name of the documentary that he was tweeting about is called "Hebrews to Negroes: Wake Up Black America," and the documentary is really about how this faction of people believe that Black Americans in particular are the true descendants from the Hebrews of the Bible. They believe that we are like the Israelites. We are the lost nation, the lost people that they talk about, right? When
so far
Moses,
it's making sense.
Sure. So the belief is gaining traction. Even out here in Texas, I think that's where I've seen it the most. Is younger. 20, 30, maybe 40 something year old black men who are out here kind of preaching this gospel. They wear purple and gold out here. They may have other, uniforms elsewhere,
No
but them
disrespect to
robes
the
look
cues.
hot. Them robes look, so no lie, the first time they rode up on me, I was like, oh, these the bros. And I was like, but no, the bros don't really wear like robes. Like,
They was looking at mad 80s.
yeah, I was like,
bros.
it's like a long sash.
These the
that they
80s
put-
bros
yeah.
with the super freak Rick James.
And then there were no boots.
You know what I'm
There were no
saying?
gold boots. Something like something. Okay, you said my homeboy Mark always says, yeah. So couple things that I thought when I looked at the Kyrie story. So one thing that he said that I did agree with is I tweet out things about my people. I'm about my people and the uplifting of my people.
Yeah, I'm not mad at
I
that.
could understand that. But one thing I will not agree with is shitting on another group of people to raise your people up. And that's the issue that I feel like a lot of times we have when you have, like, say, black men who are like, I just like white women because black women too ghetto, too, you know what I mean? You can believe something and like something and choose something without shitting on another group.
I agree.
And so that was the major issue for me, at least. The other thing is, like, okay, if y'all are saying you are truly the chosen people, like we, right? Let them tell it. I'm also a member
You
of
are
the
a member
chosen
of
people.
said chosen group.
And I appreciate that. So say we are the chosen.
Male.
The Lord chose this.
Joseph.
We should just do a show speaking in old biblical English and see how far we can get.
Thou, sister, shall bring the reins of terror of thy... Go ahead, Kasar.
Shall we breaketh bread and drinketh of drink? So say you are the chosen people.
Right.
Just be the chosen people. Like, you don't have to be out here shitting on, like, Jews and other people because, like, you think that they're not the chosen people. Like, I have this belief that what is for you will be for you. I feel like karma just kind of works that way. If we are truly the chosen, then our time is coming, my friend. And we don't have to go shit on other people. We don't have to go do to them what was done to us for so long in this country to get ahead. And that's the one issue. I respect all religions, unless I say it all the time. As long as you're not slapping babies and kicking puppies, I'm good. As long as you aren't hurting anyone, I am good. I don't judge anybody. You can believe what you believe. And I actually am the type of person who tries to understand why you believe what you believe.
Right.
In this case, I don't believe what you believe, but I respect it.
All right.
My only issue is
So
you have gone and shitted on a completely different group of people because of your beliefs, and that's the same thing that they do to us all the time. So we are using the master's tools to try to accomplish something that, like, will probably never really get done, to be honest. But we are, like, again, it's going back to, like, that white supremacy. Like, you're using the master's tools to try to get what you want.
Okay. You're right. I agree with that perspective. I think I definitely understand that a lot of us don't have the Black Israelite perspective or religiosity or that. I get it. I totally get it. I used to be a religious man myself back in the day. I have grown in my beliefs and I ain't gonna say grown. I've changed a lot of my ideas and my beliefs about religion, spirituality, all of that. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, I think a little more pragmatic in terms of like when people do make those statements about us being the chosen people and specifically about the groups that attack us. Mm-hmm. So do I believe in shitting on other groups? Do I believe the master's house can be dismantled with the master's tools? Absolutely not. I don't think we can use their way of doing things to establish who we are. Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%. But on the other side of it, again, kind of discussion that we were having with Kanye, I do believe that there are certain groups that are in control of certain industries, be it proximity, maybe all the wigs come from or a lot of the wigs came from Korea. So it makes sense that Koreans have a monopoly on wigs. The beauty supply. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it totally, that's the part. I wish that when we have those conversations that we don't speak from a religious perspective or religious historical basis. Mm-hmm. I think I'd rather us speak from actual facts. That's what I'm saying. Like, let's be more pragmatic about this conversation. Yep. Let's actually discuss what's harming us. What group is this that's harming us? Because it could be a specific culture. Mm-hmm. It could be a specific community. It could be a specific entity. We just need to identify that. That's what I'm saying. So I think that once we start to truly call out people and the groups that they belong to, then kind of what Landon is saying, this is a fact. I can call out if the Jewish establishment has a base in which, of course, they go to their synagogues and they worship, but then after that they meet up and they have business groups, and out of those business groups, the leaders end up running, I don't know, all the deli sandwiches in Oak Cliff. Mm-hmm. Then I'm going to say that it is the Jewish establishment because y'all are the ones who are meeting as businessmen outside of your religious events, and y'all are running these entities that are harmful to us. And let's say those deli groups are harmful to us. They overcharge us, all this other bullshit. Then it is them. I think that a lot of these groups, they hide behind their businesses. It's easier for them to do that. The same way white racist police officers hide behind a police badge. Mm-hmm. It's no different. All of them would rather use the businesses or the third party entities that they're connected with us with. They'd rather use that to say that is the issue, when truth be told, it's not that. It's the people that are running it. That's why we keep running into this issue of calling out specific groups and looking anti-Semitic. And it's like, yeah, we might look anti this or anti that, but we're calling out the groups and or people who are running these institutions that are being harmful to us. We're just getting straight to the fucking source.
So in this case,
not saying Kanye is right. Not saying any of these other folks who are talking about Jewish people.
Well, he was
talking
about death contra, but like that's
just in general. But I'm thinking we still be
so Kyrie was talking about like his, I guess like his contracts and stuff.
Right.
So one thing I want to say to everybody on here is like, I am one who can be persuaded by a good argument. Mm-hmm. And this is one of those arguments that you just made, mm-hmm. that made me sit back and say, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. No, I feel that, because I also do, as a black woman, like, yeah, I go get my nails done. Like, I go to the beauty supply, and you're absolutely right. Like, I know who has a monopoly on that in our communities. Mm-hmm. And I know part of that is because when we open beauty supplies and nail shops, we can't set our prices as low, mm-hmm. because we don't have the connections to the distributors for the materials. And then
a lot of times they won't even give our people the connections to those.
They lock us out. So that's a good point. And so, Landon, I think you're absolutely right. Like, facts should not be seen as hate speech. I was actually going to say, but then I didn't, because I'm like, nah, don't listen to reply. Listen to understand. Mm-hmm. I was actually going to say, well, he signed the contract, but you're absolutely right. I worked for a company at one point, and I signed a contract with that company. And that shit was exploitive, mm-hmm. as hell. Matter of fact, Landon works for the same company I used to work for, so he could probably tell you. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if you're under NDA and non-compete, Landon, but I certainly was at one point. Mm-hmm. And so Yeah, you're right. You're like I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yeah,
I have
so
changed my opinion. I don't believe you have to be anti anything, but you can call out facts without it being seen as anti-Semitic when it's the truth.
Because what I would want, and this is my last point to this, like when Kanye got held up in that it was like he did another interview, like it was like some TMZ style group had kind of cornered him and started talking to him, and I guess they were kind of looking for this one guy to kind of like call him out for his anti-Semitism, but he ended up talking the entire time, and what he ended up doing was pulling out this this thing on here. It was just like basically like all the media companies and the ones that were in red were the ones that were owned by Jewish people, and it was like green and yellow and all that, but it was mostly red. So I think that if we speak from a more factual, like if I were to go through and just go through his whatever list that he was looking at, because he started naming some companies, and I ain't gonna lie, right then and there I started Googling those same companies, and the company Google is actually partially run by a Jewish person.
That you're using them.
I'm like, God damn.
Making them money while looking at your shit.
My point is, if we can say factually and statistically speaking that the media companies that run specific entities within the music industry or within newspaper, whatever, we can factually say 64.9% of these. No, again, this is not the number.
Okay,
this is not the number.
Say, damn.
Because you'd be told that's actually lower than what I think based off his little sheet. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm just saying, if we knew the actual numbers, then we can actually say that 64 or 75% of these media companies are owned by Jewish people. So it'd be like, oh, we're not being anti-Semitic. We're not. That's not. Facts. That's actually the fact.
Yeah.
The fact is they are the owners, majority owners, make up a higher percentage of the board in most of these companies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the facts that we have to prove.
Landon, okay. I know we've been thinking about something to work on together. And I do see you said you are under NDA and non-compete. So if you can't do it, let me know. But maybe this is the thing we work on together, right? Like sharing this information without making it racist, right? Because it really is just facts.
we need to share this, and we need to understand. Truth be told, it's just a matter of we need to know who's in our corner and who's not. The majority of these groups who have power within our communities are not in our corner. So we just need to know to what extent they're not. Like how bad is it?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's the part that I don't think we fully understand. We listen to Kanye, we listen to these other folks, but we don't really know how bad it is, how really shitty of the deal that we have with these different companies. We don't know. Real quick, number 4, DWayne Wade's ex coming out against Zaya Wade's gender and name change. I saw her post and she talked about how she was like, they're doing it for money, for publicity, for this and that. She's like, I just want her to wait 3 more years until she's an adult, this and that. And I'll say this. I understand the perspective of wanting your child to make a certain decision as they get older, like wait until they get older. I get it. It's your child. I totally get it. The other side of that, though, I saw DWayne's response to that, and he basically was like, "Baby, where you been at? Like, you ain't even been here to even know her, to know what she wants and what she wants to do." And I've had this conversation before with my friends, with gay people specifically, with trans people actually, and it's one of those things where it's just like, a lot of them knew very young what they wanted to be and what they wanted to do. They knew how they felt. They knew how they felt. They might have been confused in terms of how to express it or where they were. But that's what it was. My personal opinion, if as her parents they want to support her and this is a decision that she wants to make for herself, then I'm not tripping about it. It's looking like DWayne Wade is not even really pushing his daughter to do anything in terms of like a change in her gender. Like he's not really pushing her. He's just like, baby, if that's what you are, that's what you are, that's what you say you are, I'm just gonna follow what you say. You my kid. Exactly. And I'm gonna support you no matter what. Yeah. And this is like, that is the way to be. I know if my child gay, believe that they didn't come out with the right gender, whatever, baby, hell, you wanna be a fucking Toyota truck, a T-Rex.
Come on, T-Rex.
As long as you ain't harming nobody, you're not harming yourself.
That's right.
Be you, boo. Be you.
Yeah.
Be you. And if anybody got an issue with it, they can just come see me.
So one thing I want to debunk on this podcast right here, right now, is the idea that, they're pushing this on people and this wasn't No. You can study ancient history, ancient tribes, ancient people, and they absolutely speak of folks who felt like they came out as the wrong sex, the wrong gender. And it is actually not that hard to believe scientifically, given that every single embryo starts off female and then has to change. Like a hormonal process has to happen for you to turn into a male. So we all got the same parts. They're just assembled differently. All of us have the same part. So for me, while I've never felt like I was not a woman, like I was in the wrong body, I feel like I could understand how someone could, simply because, like, if something goes wrong during that process of turning from a female to a male, who knows what your mind could be thinking, how that feels, disassociated with your body, all of that. So a couple of things about this that I loved was, number one, like, that household is rich as fuck. Between Gabrielle Union and DWayne Wade, there is no need for money. So for her, to come out like they're doing this for which money exactly? Because that little girl is she wants for nothing.
Yeah.
She wants for nothing. There is nothing that she needs, nothing that her parents need that she can't get. So like, I felt like the argument was just ridiculous to begin with. The second thing that I saw was that she described herself as a good Christian mother, which immediately raised a red flag, and I was like, okay, say less. Because I was raised by a good Christian mother as well. And I know for a fact that had I come out saying like, I actually feel like a boy, Deborah would have been on the same shit that Zaya's biological mama is on.
Should have been like,
this I know.
Like a who?
Yeah.
Your mama call you Clay, so I'm gonna call you Clay.
I'm gonna call you. I named you Marlissa. I'm gonna call you
Marlissa.
So yeah, like I 100% like understood where this mother was coming from, because I was raised by the same type of woman.
Right.
The last thing I'll say is when he put his statement out and was just like, you ain't really been here. Like, where you been? And one thing I can say about DWayne Wade, and since he is even married Gabrielle Union, and not only that, his other son as well, his older son,
and they have a daughter. The younger daughter. The
baby. They have, but I'm talking especially about the older boy. He loves his sister, and said in the last birthday post, I saw him post like, I knew who you were when we were kids. It didn't, like, we grew up together, so I knew you were my sister.
Look, I knew my cousin was.
That's it.
I knew.
That's it. I got a little cousin right now.
I knew was Erica. I knew that.
I got a little cousin right now, and I'm close to him for that reason, because I know my family is going to have an issue, but he needs somebody in his corner when he decides. So I look at this and I'm like, you're making this argument, and we don't know we're not in their lives, so we can't say a lot. Right. But one thing I can say is I've always appreciated that man in particular because of what he does, and he talked about how he had to listen to certain things in the locker room, and then when his own son came to him and said like, "Hey, Dad, I think this is what's going on," it changed everything for him, because here he is in this homophobic, transphobic kind of surrounding every game he plays. He's hearing these things in the locker room, and he was like, wait, but this is my life now. Like, I have to deal with this. And he made a conscious decision to stand next to his daughter regardless. And I ain't gonna even lie, like, I would high five that man any day for that, because it is rare that we see that in our community. And I think this child is going to flourish because she had someone in her corner, rather than telling her that she was going to hell because of what she feels, and that most of us just will never understand. We'll never understand it.
My last point too. I'm a sincere soldier of God. I saw he says no one ever mentions the farmer pushing transgenderism to gain customers for life. I'm talking about modern USA pharmaceuticals profiting on synthetic drug regimens. First of all, I 100% agree that the pharmacy industry. First of all, the pharmacy industry is for profit. They've always been for profit. But the thing is, it's all the way around. It's not just with trans women. Of course, they want to corner that market as well.
But are they pushing it? I haven't had anybody come up now.
Let me. I'll say.
They ask me if I'm depressed and I need antidepressants? Sure, but I've never had anybody come to me like, you feel trans or not.
I'll say this, maybe not to that extent, but for sure, pharmaceutical companies have a marketing department, and they will market whatever it is that they have to a consumer base they feel like will take it. Absolutely. Now, do I think it's going as far as pushing gender orientation changes and all that? I don't think that's necessarily happening, but are they in contact? Do they have ways of getting in contact? Like, I guess again, this is more my perspective that has more to do with the demonic, in no religious context, but the demonic side of pharmaceutical companies. I wouldn't be surprised if they were actually going to Pride events and actually setting themselves up as something else, like kind of like or connect themselves with groups so that they can be like, well, we're always here. So that if y'all are gonna go through that process, if you are gonna make the transformation,
here's who you should go with.
Here's my card.
That
Call
I will
me.
believe.
We're here. And tell your friends about us. That
I will believe.
That part I believe. But yeah.
Until I start seeing commercials targeting, because the thing is, in this country, we get exposed to some shit that is completely illegal in other countries. So for example, in about all of Europe, you are not allowed to advertise drugs on TV. You can't walk up to your doctor like, hey, I think I need some Singular. Like, no, your doctor will give you what they think you need for whatever ailment you have. But in this country, we do get marketed to. So for Soldier of God, one thing I can say is I genuinely do not believe that, like, there is a push of transgender. I do believe that, as far as GS said, yeah, if I know there's a Pride event, of course I'm gonna set up a tent and give you a bottle of water and a Slinky to make sure that when you go to your doctor about your transition medication, you're mentioning my name.
Mentions Chlorocan.
But until I start seeing actual advertising that focuses on, like, children saying, hey, not feeling like a girl today, like, And the other thing is, I agree with that. So he mentioned ADHD medicine, 100%, but I think that's also
I love ADHD
the educational system that we're in. So at Crenshaw, a lot of black boys in particular were tested and considered ADHD, when actually what was going on was they just were not teaching our boys the way our boys needed to be taught. There were no teachers around them that could really relate to them. So all of them ended up in special ed and on some type of ADHD meds, when actually they just weren't challenged, or they just weren't engaged, or the education wasn't relevant. So I think, like, I hear what you're saying, but I do think that we can't equate the two just yet, because we haven't seen the same reach in communities of color in particular. There are white children of all races who are saying, like, yeah, I don't feel like this is my body. Right. And I want to transition. Now, when they start targeting us, I'll get with you on that, but I just haven't seen it enough to really believe that yet.
Okay. All right, y'all. So the next topic, and this is actually very important to me. Very important to me. Political violence on the rise, specifically dealing with Pelosi's husband, armed poll watchers, and fraud police forces. I appreciate you putting a fraud police force. I'm gonna let you go with that one. Specifically with Pelosi's husband, there's been a lot of like rhetoric, conspiracy theories behind that, this and that. And let me first and foremost say this. I think that if you are in a political space, I don't think you should be physically attacked. I don't think any of your family members should be attacked. I don't think any of that. Again, if you were voted on to be the leader of your specific, to be the representative of your constituents, it shouldn't be happening to you. On the other hand, though, for people to really feel like this political violence is something like, oh my God, what's happening? I always point people to the fact that black political leaders, community leaders, have been experiencing violence at the hands of white racist police officers, white racist groups, all that. This is not new to us. So I absolutely hate every time I hear them talking about, oh, this new wave of violence against leaders and this and that. And it's like, we about to talk about Malcolm X next.
Shall we?
But I'm saying, like, that's the kind of shit. I'm like, clearly either y'all have not been paying attention this whole time, or y'all just didn't care, whatever the case may be. But my overall point is that kind of violence has been happening, and y'all are seeing it as bad now because, truth be told, what's happening is the same tactics that y'all let go for years against us are now starting to happen towards y'all. They have been using voter intimidation on us since we first had the opportunity to vote. And now that it's happening in our 2000s and it's happening with everyone.
That's right. And nobody's safe at this point.
Nobody's safe now. And it's like, oh, y'all,
as long as they were stringing us up, it was cool.
If y'all would have beat that shit in the voter intimidation, if y'all would have beat that shit when it was happening to us, if y'all would have beat down that violence against our community leaders and our political leaders early on, then y'all probably this wouldn't be happening to Nancy Pelosi's husband. This wouldn't be happening to y'all. The January 6th shit would be happening when they coming in trying to lynch y'all, because guess what? They lynched us. But y'all can't even pass an anti-lynching bill. That's why this is important to me, because I'm like, y'all so full of shit. It's so full of fucking shit.
All right, and you took it a completely different like route that I was planning to take it, but you're absolutely right. Like, what's happening right now is literally, I feel like, karmic for the folks who sat back and watched. Biden was alive.
When this shit was motherfucking.
When my folks was being strung up for voting. Like, when they were being attacked for voting. And so, yes, you're 100% right. But what I want to point out here is that his speech last night, and if you didn't watch the speech, pretty much he had a speech on protecting democracy. And really, when he talked about protecting democracy, it was about the big lie and, the fact that there have been armed watchmen at these polling places, but he doesn't talk about the gerrymandering. So you're talking about like the tactical violence, but you're not talking about like the abstract, theoretical, like
institutionally introduced part.
Yes, all of that shit. So I mean, and violence can be physical, it can be emotional, it can be mental. And so we are seeing violence across the spectrum in this country right now. Like, I have friends who are in other countries who are literally reaching out to me like, y'all good over there? What's going on?
No, we're bubbling.
No, we're struggling.
They talking about we're melting pot. We're motherfucking it's melting all right. It's some shit that's melting. This shit is hot. This shit is overheating right now.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
And I'm looking for. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No. So I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, I hate the fact that Nancy Pelosi's husband got attacked. We did find out that the attacker was actually looking for her. I can't even lie. I chuckled when he said he was gonna break her kneecaps, because
that's some dark humor, y'all. That does not represent.
It doesn't represent the podcast. But the reason I chuckled was because it was so specific.
That's
like
barbaric.
So think about, like,
these
I have to have a hammer, right? And I gotta be up on somebody to actually. It's not like shooting somebody from a distance.
This is some hate from this is like misery level hate. Like, I want to torture you.
This shit runs deep.
Like. The political violence that we've seen, again, he's talking about the election situation, all that. Again, they have been limiting us from voting. They're trying to gut the Voting Rights Act. They are. That's what I'm saying. Again, this is why one of my favorite teachers used to say this. He said this. He used to tell me, he's like, with black people being in the position that we're in America, with us just, at the bottom in statistics in so many areas, health, education, all that. And then, of course, it is on purpose. It's on purpose. Let's be real about it. And again, that purposeness, they may not be directly attacking us, but they can just take away resources, just not give us things.
That's right. That
in itself is violence in itself. So all these things, again, that they have been practicing on us, they are now using on each other, and it's going to continue. And it's one of those things to where I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound crazy. I'll say it anyway. The reason I always say when it comes to voting, specifically now, and this is my last point, I was at like 80%.
Okay.
20% was like, fuck this, I ain't voting. 80% was like, oh yeah, I'm a vote. Okay. So the 80% had more to do with the fact that I was like, you know what? I feel like I can't say anything if I don't vote. If I don't vote for Beto, I can't really be that mad about Abbott. I genuinely believe that if I can, the one thing I can do, which really ain't shit, just going to go just mark a piece of paper, it's just voting. It ain't shit in that way. It's like in terms of like energy, it's something, but it's not. I can't. So yeah, that's the 80%.
Okay.
The other 20% was like, no, don't vote because these motherfuckers deserve Abbott. They deserve these crazy white racist Republicans. Because now again, this is them hurting themselves. Again, when they reversed Roe v. Wade, they wasn't just hurting black women. They hurting white women too.
That's right.
Are y'all finally seeing the little brother that y'all used to send to the bedroom? The one that y'all used to ignore, the piece of shit uncle that was the mayor of the city but was racist as fuck. Now y'all are seeing why these individuals y'all let run rampant. And that's the 20% was like, nah, let these motherfuckers keep going. Yeah. Let them keep going. We gonna survive it. We gonna be all right. Yeah. Let them keep harming each other. That was the 20%. But I said, nah, I'm gonna vote.
Vote, y'all. Please go out there and
please vote. That's the overall message is, please vote. Please vote. Please vote. Go out. Do that. So yeah, that's it.
That's good shit. Okay.
Last but not least, also very important.
Man.
Speaking of political violence.
Oof. This is a perfect segue.
Speaking of political fucking violence, all right, our last topic has to do with Malcolm X alleged assassins were finally vindicated due to lack of evidence as well as police tampering with evidence. The courts of New York have stripped them of that conviction.
Yes.
So.
After 20 years.
After 20 years. Some. With one of them actually passing away.
That's right.
It was interesting because I actually watched the documentary, The Who Killed Malcolm X. I watched it. Very interesting. Oh, yeah. It was interesting. I'm gonna watch it. All right. It's pretty wordy, though. It's pretty wordy. It's not like entertaining. It's not like a Netflix documentary where you're going to watch it, you're going to be like entertained. And it's not that entertaining. Okay. But it's very much so interesting. You're going to get some interesting facts out of it. But with this, in the climate that we're talking about right now, one of the takeaways actually that just kind of came to my mind was the fact that at the time when Malcolm X passed away, a lot of America was still like kind of shitting on him. They weren't honoring him like we honor him today.
That's right.
They saw him as divisive. Again, they kind of ran with the media's. Was that
Herschel Walker?
Media. No,
it sounded like Herschel Walker. Sorry.
It might have been. I don't know. It was a mix of different things at one time. Mix of different emotions.
I thought I was Herschel. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
So with that perspective, I'm just glad that those brothers are finally vindicated from it. There's some more conversations around it. But I'm gonna let you go ahead before I.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting because both of these men actually served their full sentences. So they both got 20 years apiece, and they served these sentences. And years later, I think one of them is 82, I believe, and then the other has passed. He passed in 2009, I believe. Now all of a sudden, like, an investigation pops up, and what did they say? Serious miscarriages of justice. Which leads us to believe that somebody was lying. But we saw what happened with the
a few people were lying.
What was our babies out in New York? The Central Park 5. So we know that this is a thing.
Right.
We know that this is a thing. So. They spent 20 years in prison. Now New York is going to pay $36 million for pretty much wrongful incarceration and conviction,
which ain't enough. But
it's because at 82, I'm gonna live a couple good years. The fuck, like, and it's amazing how America believes that like just money can
make up for
like. Now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you need to pay something.
Don't get me wrong. Reparations is a thing, but on top of money, like I've always called for reparations to be more than just a check, because they know that we're going to go spend that check. But like, if you can say like, hey, for the next 5 generations, your kids get 0 interest loan.
Yeah, make it actually worth something. Make it actually worth something that actually affects the group
for free.
That actually affects the groups that cause this issue.
That's right.
Because a lot of people said that if the police officers' behaviors were tied to their pensions or tied to their pay, they'd act totally different.
That's right.
Or hang their payroll based off of the positive notes that they get. They said they'd change in a second. They change. The police officers would be the most helpful motherfuckers they could be if it depended on if it depended on good comments and good marks.
It works in corporate America because oftentimes they tie the executive compensation to the stock price. And so I'm going to do everything I can to keep that stock price high so I can get my money. So
we both agree that the actual New York police force needs to be held accountable for this specifically.
100%. But and this is not just this case. Like, there are several cases that we know about in New York that...
I'll say this. Not even just that, but I'll say this. Anything involving J. Edgar Hoover. Because J. Edgar Hoover was quoted as saying, we need to do something about this Malcolm X. We need to do something about this person.
Yep.
And so if you actually think that he wouldn't be willing to do anything that keeps him as clean as possible, because again, we have to understand this about white racist police officers, white racists who were a part of the Fed at the time, all of that. For them, it only makes sense for them to do something and hide their hand. Nothing for them. They don't want it to be tied or attached back to them. They are okay with using the most underhanded, the most conniving, snake level tactics to get whatever it is that they want. One of Malcolm X's, or a few of Malcolm X, well, a few things. One of Malcolm X's security detail, undercover FBI. A lot of people who are part of the raid, who are part of the Nation of Islam at that time, a good amount of them were FBI informants. The FBI had infiltrated the Nation of Islam. They had infiltrated Malcolm's security. They were a part of...
What was our other guy? They made a movie about him just recently, like a couple years ago.
You talking about brother from Chicago.
Yes.
Brother from Chicago. Brother.
I want to say
Larry. No, not. You talking about Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton.
Fred Hampton, like one of his closest friends.
Right.
The FBI had infiltrated. Yeah. Like,
so the thing about it is, y'all, when I saw that these brothers were finally becoming free, one thing that set it off for me, that just affirmed it. It was the woman from Democracy Now! Asked him about how did he get treated in jail, and he said that I was treated fine. No one tried to harm me. And
they knew I didn't do it. They knew I didn't do it. The people knew. And when I tell y'all, so if y'all, again, we keep saying Democracy Now! If you do not watch Democracy Now!, they give you the headlines in 13 minutes.
But then they also do interviews, special lifestyle interviews.
If you want to watch more, please, y'all, like, if you are not subscribed to this show on YouTube, she does a fantastic job, and you are absolutely right. When she interviewed him, the thing that stuck out the most, where he was like, I wasn't tripping, because I knew the people knew I didn't have anything to do with it. And I was like, that, in my opinion, is one of the most powerful statements I have ever heard. He didn't worry about it because he knew the people that was really thinking about he didn't do that shit. And
we have to know this specifically with your city's police force. We have to understand.
LAPD? Let's call them out.
LAPD. There are other police forces that do this. They don't mind the wrong person going down. They don't mind planting evidence. They don't mind any of that. Like, because again, for them, it's killing two birds with one stone.
That's right.
A black man dies, and it's even better, or I ain't gonna say even better, but it's even more beneficial for us in terms of our numbers that we find someone or the person who actually did it. And if we could pin it on someone, or if someone with very loose evidence can go down as the fall person, then we've killed two birds with one stone. We've got a quote-unquote murderer, because again, we already believe he's a criminal anyway. Again, judging by these racist police actions. Again, we're not calling the police racist, we're calling their actions racist, and therefore that's led us to believe at the time of the 60s they were racist. So that's what that was. That was a larger demonstration of what we already know about them. They don't care about finding the right person. They just need a person.
Somebody has to go down.
That's
right.
So in this situation, specifically, one of the pieces of evidence that was tossed out, or what caused it to be tossed out, was the fact that there was another FBI agent there who was working undercover, and they didn't allow him to visually identify who the people were who actually pulled the trigger. Because if they would have allowed him to testify, he would have said the people that y'all have were not the ones who pulled the trigger.
That's right.
I saw it.
That's
but FBI was like, nah, shut the fuck up. We got what we got. Malcolm's dead. We got some people who we can throw in jail for it. We good.
And I don't know if that's how New York police do things, but that's in essence what happened with the Charleston Park. The Central Park 5.
Yeah.
Like, whoever we can get at the moment, like, we'll take it. And so they wrapped up 5 young black men.
Yeah.
And decided, these are the ones.
That's why when we talk about this is why, and speaking for us as a platform, this is why we not like pro-Republican, pro-Democratic, because again, we have cities that are Democratic all through their city council, through their mayorship, all the way through the entire state.
LA, should we talk about it?
New York, that's what I'm saying. We got two very liberal,
the 2 most liberal places in America,
motherfucking states, yet have the worst police force.
That's right.
So do with that what you will.
And if you ain't from LA, the sheriffs are worse than LAPD. So
I heard that.
Oh,
I heard
baby,
the sheriffs are worse than.
They
I heard that.
are on some different shit out there. So, yeah.
All right, y'all. But rest in peace, Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, brother Takeoff.
Yeah.
They are now with the ancestors now. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue to remember them, remember their life. For sure, definitely prayers, legitimate prayers up for Takeoff, his family. For that black man.
Yeah.
And I hope that wherever our ancestor, brother minister Malcolm X is, I hope that he's able to see that these black men have found some kind of vindication. So
yeah, no, that's a big deal. One thing I kept thinking about was like that boy's mama expected to see her baby again.
Yeah.
She didn't.
Yeah. And
so like as someone who I've been close to death several times, but it was like there's a difference between when it's something that you know is coming and then when you get that call in the middle of the night. And that's the thing I kept thinking about. And I think that's why it bothered me so much on Monday. It's because I kept thinking about like his brothers, his friends, his mother, they're going to get that call when he probably said like, hey, I'm just going to Houston for the weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday or something. And that never happened. So definitely prayers for those families.
Yeah.
It's never tough losing a loved one, but I think it's especially tough when you lose them to violence and you don't even have a chance to say goodbye or like you don't have a chance to prepare yourself for it. So definitely prayers for those families for sure. So yeah.
When you go first, you always
I will. Go
ahead.
I think I made you go first last week. So yeah, I'm good. I got a lot of cool things going on. So one thing that I started this week is pretty cool. So a Dallas Free Press, I joined them to start a journalism program with DISD.
I'm looking forward to learning more about that. That sounds dope.
Yeah, so my goal is to help the kids that we're working with to get published before they're even out of high school. Very strong writers that I've been meeting, very strong storytellers. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And then of course, between the show and just putting out content, we got a whole lot going on. So I've been staying busy, like staying out the streets.
Real talk.
Sleeping good between the workouts and the mental gymnastics I've been doing. So no complaints here. Yeah. How about you?
I've been good. I've been sleeping very well. I have been working on the space that you all see us in right now. It is the studio.
Yes.
For the Green Route podcast. So there is some more stuff we about to do to it. I'm about to add a TV, add some more stuff. Who's still on here? Let me show y'all. Hold on, who's still here?
Walk them around.
Let me see. I'm gonna show y'all a little bit. I'm just gonna show y'all a little bit. So right over there is the editing station. I don't know if y'all can see that.
I can see it on here.
Share. Let me show y'all. Let me get a little closer. So this is just the space where we edit stuff. I can't even. Soon to turn on. But yeah, there it is. There you go. That's this station. We have a screen where we watch ourselves. On that one, we don't have it on today, but we normally have it showing so that we can see y'all. But so far, so good. We bringing it together. I've been good. I didn't sleep that great last night. Not last night. I didn't sleep that great last night, but it was because I ate some stuff that gave me heartburn.
You keep doing this bad eating thing at night. What's going on?
Hard to see. I didn't know what she put in it, and I just ate it.
Oh, baby. Okay, baby girl cooked.
Yeah, it cooked.
Okay.
It was good though. It was hidden.
Right.
That shit had me up, and then we're near a train station, so like the train, like not like Dart, but like the nationwide train,
big train.
The big train.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
So yeah. But
Are there new windows in the house?
they're new, but they could be better.
You know what I did?
I'm gonna do
Because
some
I would hear,
insulation
so
there.
get the blackout curtains, but the ones that block sound too.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a huge difference. I put them in my bedroom. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we might just go ahead and do that for that.
Yeah, I'll send you an Amazon link. They weren't bad.
Send that to me.
Yeah, like $30-something.
All right,
But,
y'all.
okay, good. So you want to benediction us?
All right, y'all. So this week has been a week. But I'll say this. The two most important parts is this. For sure, continue to love your own, be there for your own, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know, they could be enjoying themselves and having a good time, or you could just talk to them and then they're not here anymore. So with that being said, continue to hold on to the people that you love, hold on to family members, but also hold on to information that you know about groups and organizations as well. Hold on to that as well, because again, it keeps revealing itself as truth over and over again.
Yeah.
So remember those hold your family close, but also continue to hold the truth
Call
close.
your mama.
So hold both of them close, y'all. That's my
You
benediction.
ain't talked to her, call your mama.
So
All right, well, we're going to get out of here. We'll see you next week. Of course, we love y'all.
love y'all.
We appreciate you rocking with us. Share this with your friends, family, follow, subscribe, all that good shit. And we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.
All right.
Sunshine, sunshine, tell me where you are. 'Cause I need you to get me through my life.